everybody, welcome to another craft tutorial. Today we're going to be working with the brand new StarCraft Solo. I'm so excited to show you guys all the fun things that the Solo can do. But before we get started, be sure to join my exclusive Facebook group down below. I would love to have you as a member, and we have a lot of fun over there. It's a great place to show off your crafts, ask your questions, and just interact with other crafty folks just like you. Today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a shadow box. This is a fun thing that you can do, and it's a great little beginner project if you are just getting to know your Solo and you want to start trying it with some cardstock. We're going to use a design from Design Bundles. I'll link it down below if you want to make it as well. It was really easy, really fun. We had a good time making it, and I think that you guys are going to learn a few little tricks and tips working with the new Solo machine. So let's get started.
Whatever we would do, we do it just for fun.
We are going to cut this shadow box in the StarCraft Create software using our StarCraft Solo. So what we're going to do is import our design. So what I'm going to do is click File and then click Import. I need to go and find that file. So I know that it's under my paper crafts, and it was called 3D Shadow Box Cat Paws, and we'll just need to open the different folder. And then all you'll need to do is load the SVG, which in my case shows as an HTML document. It may show on your computer that way as well. Go ahead and select it and click Open. Now it's going to be really big, and that's just because that's the way it was saved from the artist. Now I measured my box, and I know that I have about 8.5 inches. I can go just a little bit bigger than that. So over here in Position and Size, which if you don't have that open, over on this panel, it's these little arrows that point to either corner. And what I'm going to do is make sure Keep Proportions is set. And then all I want to do is just change this right here. And I'm going to change it to 8.6 because I know I can go a little bigger than 8.5. Now this is a really pretty simple design, but you can really do just about anything. But I love cats, and I just thought this one was really cute, and why not? So what we're going to do is we need to actually separate our layers in order to cut them. So over under your layers panel here, click this little arrow, and you'll see that you have all of these different little pieces. So this is just each individual part of your design. Now in order to cut these, you need to take them and move them off of your screen. This is the way I do it. There are other ways, but I like to do it this way, where I just move them off of my canvas over here, and then I can cut them individually by putting them back on to my canvas. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this down into the lower corner. That's just something that I prefer to do. I just find it easier for myself. You can figure out what works best for you. Now this one's going to cut really simple. It's just a circle and a square. It's going to be very easy. And then we just have this one that's just a paw cut out. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult as far as just making sure that it cuts, but it should cut just fine on our StarCraft. And then the other one is just, again, pretty much a paw with some like leaves on it. So it should all cut very easy. This is only 4 layers, but I do recommend actually doing a base layer behind here. It's really up to you and how you want to set yours up. I'm going to go ahead and just skip that, but you can just cut another square that's the same size. So now we're ready to cut our first piece. So all we're going to do is click the word Create. Now, right here, I'll show you a couple things that you want to make sure. You want to make sure that you have your machine selected and that you are connected to your machine. There's some cut settings here. You have what you see is what you get. You also have origin point, and you have center point. I prefer to use what you see is what you get, but play around with that and see what works best for you and how you kind of think. Coming from a CRICUT brain, I find that what you see is what you get is a little bit easier for me to line up and set the way I want it to cut. Now make sure that this says cut line, and then everything else here you can kind of leave alone unless you've set a custom preset. I show you how to do that in a video in the playlist, and I will link that down below for you guys. But you can see that you do have a few things here. There's a cardstock 65 pound. I actually found, I tried that one. Didn't work quite as well as I would like. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go right here and choose that custom cut preset. And I'm going to change this information here. So what I want to do is I'm going to change this. I found that cutting it at about 60 to 65 seemed to work really well for the size of cardstock that I'm using. So I'm going to change my speed just up to 5. I'm try not to cut my cardstock on too fast of a speed. I find that that'll tend to rip it a little bit, but that's what I love about the Solo is you can really change the speed and the pressure, so that really gives you that option. I would not cut the cardstock on a 12. That is very fast and it tends to rip. So I like to keep it between about a 5 and a 7. So I'm going to go with a 6 on this one. Now that you have all of your pressure and your speed settings set, we're going to head over to the machine and I'm going to show you how to load it. And then what you'll do is when you're ready, you're going to click this little button right here that says create, this nice little rainbow button, and it will send the information to the machine and the machine will cut it out. So let's head over to the machine so I can show you how to load. So one thing that's really cool about the StarCraft Solo is that you can actually use your CRICUT or your silhouette mats in it. I prefer to use these because I find these a little bit stickier and I like it. So what I'm going to do is use a light grip mat from CRICUT, and I put that on all sorts of uneven. So what I'm going to do is line this up and not put this on unevenly. And I'm going to go ahead and press that down. You want to make sure, just like normal, it's held down really well. Then you want to slide this into your machine, but you do have these little rollers on the back. So you want to push your roller bar down, and then you want to slide this in. Now I use the side to kind of keep it straight, and then you're going to pull that bar back up to hold your roller bars down. The next thing that you're going to do is move your housing, which is this large silver piece, over by just using the buttons on your LED screen. So I'm just using the little arrow over here, and I'm just going to move it all the way over until it can't go over anymore. Then, like I said, I'm going to hit that button over on my computer. Now once mine's done, it does beep. You can turn that on or off, it's really up to you, and then my LED light will change. So I'm going to unload my mat, and then you'll see here it's cut. So when I remove this, I want to flip my mat over just like I would any other time, and just roll my mat off. And you'll see here now we have the back piece. So I'll take you back over there to the computer, and I'm going to show you guys how to set up the next cut. All you'll have to do here is just hit OK where it says cutting data was sent to the cutting machine, and then pull the one that you did already off and put on the next one that you want to cut. And simple as that, that's all you have to do. Then just hit create again, and you really shouldn't need to adjust your settings or anything like that. But you can if you want to, if it didn't cut great or whatever you want to do with it, that's fine. So we'll go ahead and we'll load the machine again, hit create, and then we'll finish cutting everything out. One of the tricks that I like to do when using spacers for these is to actually use window insulation tape. So I just get this foam window seal from the local hardware store. It works perfectly. But what I like to do first is I like to lay out my design in the order that it needs to go. So we know that this circle is our back piece, and then we go to, I think the cat is, okay, so then it goes the leaf. Then it goes the cat, I believe. And then it goes the full paw. So I just like to kind of make sure everything looks good and lined up. That looks fine. Yep, that looks perfect. Now I do know that there is a piece of the paw stuck to one of these. It's just like static cling to the back. So we'll take that off. So what I'm going to do now is I flip this over and I keep it all together just so I know which order it goes in. All I'm going to do is grab some of this insulation tape, this foam seal, and all I need to do is run it along the edges of my design. Real easy. You don't have to pull it tight or anything, just kind of lay it on down, and then I just trim it off. And it's not sticky on both sides, it's only sticky on one side, so just peel off the extra little piece of casing or whatever you want to call that, like a protective layer, and then I just sort of go around the whole thing. And this is super easy, super simple. A lot of people say use mount tape, use mounting foam. This is so much easier. It takes 10 seconds and it's so inexpensive. I think each roll is about $2, and I can usually do an entire 7-layer shadow box using that. So then once I put it on the back, all I'm going to do is just move that over to the side, grab my next one, and just go around the whole thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of these done. And once they're all done, I'll show you guys how to put them in the box with the lights. Once you have all your spacers done, grab your shadow box. I'm just using a 9x9 from Michaels, and I'm going to go ahead and just pull it apart really quick. Now I'm going to pop this out. We don't need to keep this little sign on here, but I do like to keep the little pins that they send with them because they actually work really great for a lot of things. Now we are going to be using some LED lights from Philips. These are just like micro LEDs. They're nothing fancy. They just run on a battery, but you can really use anything that you want. I'll link a couple of my favorite kinds of lights down below. So one thing to make sure to note is that you want to make sure you leave the box outside of the frame here. And I do have a knot, so you just want to make sure you get that out. So I just usually just kind of pop it outside the frame best I can and just sort of weave these in once we put our paper in. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just lay layer one down. Now you can take out the spacer and actually put the spacer in the back if you'd like to. It's really up to you and how your paper is going to lay. So my paper lays a little bit inside my spacer. So I like to actually take my spacer out. It's not my favorite to have it in most of the time when I do these because it just kind of gets in the way, but I do put it in the back. So if you have a really thick one, you don't even need the spacer. This one's only 4 layers, so I'm not super worried about it with the spacing. But we'll put that back in. So what I'm doing is just making sure they're all lined up really well and placing them down. And then we have our back piece. So then I am going to place my spacer in, and you'll see that it's just going to kind of hold the paper in place best it can. And it's just going to have to kind of shove in there a little bit because the paper isn't perfect. Now, again, I could have probably made the paper a little bit bigger, but it's fine. And then all I'm going to do is just kind of weave these around. You can use some tape. I don't want these to be permanent right now, but I would recommend if you're going to do this, just use some tape to hold them in. This is just to give you an idea how to do it. I'm going to use these for a different project. And I actually prefer using LED, just color changing lights in these. But this is just to give you an idea. And what you would do is just use a little bit of tape and just tape them to the back of your paper. And then all you'll have to do is just make sure all your lights are in. Like I said, I'm just showing you how to do this. I'm not actually placing the lights. I'm not even going to put the batteries in. And then all you want to do, make sure this is the right direction. Get your lights all tucked in. Make sure everybody is tucked under the spacer. Got one little guy that just doesn't want to stay in. You stay in, friend. And then we are going to press this down, close it up. And that's why I like these, because they have such a thin cord. It's really easy to use them. And then you're all set. Now we might see the lights through the back of the little circle. But if I were to actually tape them down, I would be sure that they were not showing through that little circle. So I'll get you guys a good view of this, and then it's all finished. It was super easy, really, really fun. You guys see how simple that really was to do. The Solo does a great job cutting cardstock. Just make sure that you kind of test it, do some test cutting. So let's go take a look at this. Here it is all finished. I did end up taping the lights to the back just so we could get a better look. This is really, really easy to do. Really, really fun. I do wish I had a little bit brighter of a light in the back, but like I said, I'll link some of my favorite lights down below. These ones are definitely not it, but you can see the StarCraft Solo does an awesome job cutting cardstock, and this is such a fun, easy beginner project that you can do to get used to working with your StarCraft Solo and the StarCraft Create software. If you have other tutorials you want to see me do, please let me know in those comments down below. I'm always happy to make tutorials that you want to see using anything that you want to do. There's lots of options, so just let me know what you're looking for. I hope you guys had so much fun learning a little bit more about your StarCraft Solo and the Create software. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting!